Hey everyone, welcome back to brand new episodes of the Kingdom Business Show. Yeah, we took a couple of weeks off because we wanted to bring you quality in these last 4 episodes that we have of this season. Well, this season, this particular episode, we'll be talking about dreams, visions, goals, ideas, because we believe that there's people out there, you have a dream. You have a goal, you have ideas and visions, but you just don't know how to get them off the ground. Well, in this episode, I'm meeting with Sal Torres, the creator of Crea Realty Group, as well as a host of other businesses. And I guarantee you that whenever you hear his story, you will leave refreshed, recharged, and revived to go after those dreams, goals, and visions that you have. So I know that you're a good student, so go get you a pen and a pad as we go into this conversation here on Kingdom Business.
Let's go. Okay. I'm a conqueror. We gon' do something a little different this time. Let's go. I abide under the shadow of the Almighty. That means all haters and evildoers can't see me. Casting out all the demons in the industry. Spiritual assassin, target X, Y, and Z. See, I'm made from a God who's more than enough. Carries the weight of the world. Yeah, my God is buff. Even when life and reality, they get so rough. I'm cut from iron cloth. Man, I'm tough. I'm in the CIA. In Christ I abide. The FBI, a faith-bred individual. I got my credentials. Very influential. That's why I can say I'm a conqueror. I'm a conqueror. I'm a conqueror. I'm a conqueror.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us. We're here with Sal Torres of Crea Realty Group. We're talking about dreams, goals, visions, ideas, as well as entrepreneurship. And so we're excited to invite you into our conversation that we always have. And so Sal is a very good friend of mine. And so we have breakfast many times, or we'll work out together and hit the legs real quick, just to make sure that we're always on that development and always going to that next level. And so introducing you, Sal, thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate you taking some time out of your busy schedule to be with us here on the Kingdom Business Show. How's everything going, man?
Everything's great, Torian. Thank you for the opportunity, and the pleasure is mine. I enjoy our breakfast, and I just love having someone I can find common ground with, to share. Because just like you, we all have goals, dreams, as Torian mentioned. A lot of times we can't find a way to bring those out.
Yeah.
And so thank you for allowing me to share today.
It's no problem, man. No problem. And so Sal is a hard guy to get in contact with, so it's a great that he actually had some time just to kind of chill out for a little second and just talk with us. And so, Sal, I want to talk to you about dreams, goals, visions, ideas. Where did it all begin for you? I know that many of us, there's some people out there that were probably born with a silver spoon in their mouth where everything was kind of given to them, or maybe there's somebody out there that pretty much just had to be a bootstrapper, didn't grow up with all of the necessities that they needed in life or the resources that they needed. However, they're still trying to get to that place where their dreams are manifested. So tell me, how did it start for you? How did Crea come about? Where did that entrepreneurial drive come from you?
Torian, I've always been a dreamer. Just in life, your dreams will shift and your goals will shift through time. So at a young age, my parents migrated from Mexico, and what they taught me was work ethic, no excuses. And I can't tell you we came from poverty, but my family was a working class. So I'm the youngest of 3, so I have 2 older sisters. And understanding entrepreneurship, I can't tell you it was a definition or a defining moment for me. But through the work ethic that my dad taught me, I jumped into work my senior year in high school. So my first job was at a fast food restaurant. I did get laid off. I guess I wasn't fast enough, right? So my dad being a welder by trade, I was able to go in internship with them and just be an assistant to them and worked with the company. So for, taking me through 10 years of working at, I can't say the corporate world, but the blue collar world. So working and seeing my dad working as a welder, which is blue collar, like the great thing is we never needed anything. We never knew we didn't need anything, right? So my dad taught me work ethic through my mom. She worked through all my childhood. So I didn't know I was missing my parents being home. All I knew is got me ready for school. They left to work, and then I'd see them in the evening. So as children, we learn by what our parents do more than what they say, right? And so for me, that was a leading example. And I didn't know I wanted to go into entrepreneurship. I just knew I wanted to make a living. And in the future build have a family. So as children, we learn more from what our parents do more than what they say. And I guess that's an example why we were always getting yelled at. Right? I was fortunate enough for my parents not to be the spanking type of parents, but once I heard my dad's voice get louder and louder, then I knew it was time to slow it down.
Well, I'm glad that you said that, because there's a saying out there that said there's more is caught than taught. There's something about being in that atmosphere or being around a person that you catch things that they didn't necessarily sit down and say, son, this is how you work hard. This is why you work hard. It's just that observation that you had of dad going to work and mom being involved in commerce and different things of that nature that you said, I got to do that. I can't just sit around and just exist, or just be lazy. I got to go out and do something. So awesome. So how did that contribute to, the things that you're doing today? How did that drive you into being a hard worker that you already are?
So for me, Tori, work ethic is just second nature. It's part of who I am. And that's the thing that was caught, and it's in my nature. But I used to believe that you had to work hard and work long hours in order to be successful. And that's not the case. What interests me about entrepreneurship, if you have the right opportunity, it's really just a fast-moving vehicle that allows you to accomplish your goals and dreams much faster than I probably would have.
That's interesting that you say that. Entrepreneurship, I saw this amazing quote the other day that is almost like I want to live by it. But it said, entrepreneurship is jumping off the cliff and building an airplane on the way down. That's what entrepreneurship is. It's this lifestyle where you're always on the cutting edge and always on the go, always creating ideas, or always bringing something together to make your dream a reality. So when you said, it's a fast-moving vehicle, I definitely agree with you that, because it is a very fast-moving vehicle, and you have to be on your toes in order to really succeed and drive this vehicle successfully. So keep on going.
Yeah, so I'll lead into this. I think it's great for our viewers is you don't wake up one day, at least it didn't happen to me, and say, okay, I'm an entrepreneur. It happens for many of us at different times in our lives. So it can be a defining moment. It could be a day you're fired from your job. I was fired. That's where I left the blue collar. Okay. I got fired from my very last blue collar job. A defining moment. So that was a defining moment. Was it in a business plan? No. It happened, and I had to make a decision. Okay, let's go. So that was my first glimpse at real estate, and not knowing that I wanted to turn real estate into a profession. All I knew is I had a daughter. I was married, and my wife wanted us to move into another place. I was one of those sandwich generation, living with my parents still, and brought in a new family. Yeah. And so real estate and entrepreneurship gave me the opportunity and allowed me to reach those goals and dreams at that given moment in my life.
So let me ask you this: why real estate? Why that vehicle? I know that you said about the opportunities, but many opportunities were given to you. I mean, I know that if we were to dive deeper into, these are the things that I know about you. You were in the financial services. Right. You were also in the painting business as well, or the roofing business. That's what it was, the roofing business. And so what made you settle and say, you know what, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to focus my energy on, focus my creativity on. What is your why?
My why has changed through time, but at that moment, I have to thank my parents. My dad actually paid for my real estate school. If I take you back into the blue-collar time in my life, for fun and as a career, I was getting into music. So, I played guitar, and I was in a band for 3 years, very committed to it at all costs. For the first year of my band career, I was hardly home, so I missed the whole first year of my daughter, life. And a defining moment one night was when I came home and I tried to play with her, and she pushed me away. And my wife said, she doesn't even know you. You're never home. But I was bringing in that persona, or I was a rock star in my own thoughts.
Okay, so tell me about the rock star phase. So did you have the long hair and all that stuff, or how was it?
I had the long hair. I did. And it was shoulder length, bleach. I did it all. So I really did live that rock lifestyle. But my parents allowed me to fail forward. They always attempted to correct me. But, I was young. in that mindset. I'm not trying to have anyone correct me. I just want to live free, play free, go on our tours.
Yeah.
And for me in that point in my life, that was important. But they helped me grow up quicker. They said, listen, you have a family.
Yeah.
Of course, my wife was like, what's going on? Let's get things going. So that defining moment in that period in my life, my dad said, listen, sign up for school, for real estate school. I'm going to pay for it. Wow. And let's go. But before I pay for it, you need to go take the first step and find a school.
Yeah.
And so that is another defining moment, just like many of us will have in our lives. Ironically, as I dove into real estate school, my band kicked me out of the group. So they said you can't be a businessman and a rock star at the same time.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
Match.
So,
okay.
So I guess I wasn't a true rock star. And so I left the band and dove into real estate.
Wow, that's awesome. And you know, what we do with our defining moments is really what will give us that extra fuel to go the next mile. Because if you look at your defining moments happen throughout our life. For you, you got fired, which led you to real estate. The other thing, you know, your daughter wasn't taking well to you, didn't really know who you were. That was a defining moment. Each one of us has a responsibility to make sure that that defining moment pushes us to the next level and it doesn't define us. Right. You know, and so many people would say, for instance, if that happened to another person, that person could easily say, well, my daughter doesn't know me. Well, I'm just going to be a deadbeat dad and I'll just go start another family somewhere. That's but you said, no, I am committed to my family because going back to what you saw, more is caught than taught. Dad didn't run away, so you couldn't run away. And so I just think that all of us have a responsibility to deal with our defining moments with integrity, with character, and with a passion, because it's going to lead us to that next level in life. And that's what it's done for you. It's led you to this remarkable business of Crea Realty Group. So tell me about how Crea came about. I know that you got your license, evidently, and so you passed it, and so you passed the licensing, and you became a broker, and you created this amazing environment where people can really harness their dreams and their visions within your vision. So how did Crea come about?
Well, one thing, knowing and understanding that in life, there's times when you're interested and committed. You can't be both. It's you're either committed or not. So a commitment to excellence and building something, not so much for myself. I took myself out of the equation, and often in entrepreneurship, we're self-centered, and we are the equation. But when you look at it as a business, it's more than, you know, it's not about us.
Yeah.
It's are we going to be able to provide a vehicle for others who are dreaming and have a goal to accomplish, you know, different things in their life. So Crea for me, it came about after I passed my real estate broker exam. So I've been licensed since 2000 in real estate as a real estate professional. Now, understanding business, a lot of us shift from the employee to self-employed to business, and then maybe an investor and so forth. So being a self-employed, I was a great salesperson, and I had a successful real estate career, and that led me to open up my first real estate company, which was Realty Professional. And it was doing great, but I didn't have a business plan. I didn't borrow money. I didn't have a lot of money. I just knew that I was good, and I thought I was so good that I could run a company. So that really taught me to respect business, because you could be a great salesperson, but a bad business leader. It's two different.
That's good.
And so Crea, for me, it's the creation. We were all created in God's image.
That's right. That's right.
And Crea, the root word, is one of the most powerful root words in my opinion, and because everything starts with cre. It's created. In Latin, it's crea, believe. And so for me, building a company this time around, to be honest with you, I can't say I can take all the credit. I believe God's working through me. And I truly believe that. And I was like, I need a name. I don't want it to sound fancy. I want a meaning behind it. And that's how Crea.
That's awesome. You know, that leads me to what you just said as far as God working through me. Proverbs 16, verse 3, I probably have shared it countless times on this show, but it says, if you commit your work unto the Lord, he'll cause your thoughts to be established. And it sounds like that's what you've done. You've committed this business to God, because, we could be the rock star. We can open up a business, and, you could do some level of success. But in Joshua chapter 1, verse 8, God tells Joshua, hey, if you're going to succeed, you're going to have to look and meditate and do all that is written in this book. You know, if I was to go down the whole scripture, it says, this book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but you shall meditate in it day and night, to observe to do according to all that is written therein. And then you will make your way prosperous, and then you will have good success. And so success is in the Bible. God is not scared of success. In fact, he wants people to succeed because God is a good steward. And so what he gives to us, which is our dreams, our goals, our visions, the things that are innately on the inside of us, those things that will bring him glory. Now, I got to qualify that, because many people say, well, I have a dream to, be a huge drug dealer. That's not from God, okay? So that's probably a little distorted, so let's qualify that. But anything that's going to bring glory to God's name, anything that's going to establish his will in the earth, he's behind it 100%. And when we commit our work to the Lord, like in Proverbs 16, verse 3, he caused our thoughts to become agreeable to his will. And we all know that God is about his will being done in the earth. He's not about your will. Jesus said, listen, not my will, but let your will be done. And so he's about his will being done in the earth. And that's what you've done. You've committed your work to the Lord. Now your thoughts are established. And now you are experiencing some superb, supernatural, can't hardly believe it, just excellence in success in business now. And so talk to me now about how your business now pours into the lives of others that are around you.
Well, one thing I believe is our dreams and goals are a gift from God. Mm-hmm. And what we do with them is our gift back. Mm-hmm. And so everything is aligned in his will. And when you reach that point in your life, like, I wish it's in his timing. Mm-hmm. So prior to Crea, I don't believe it was in God's timing. It was in Sal's timing. Entrepreneur, self-centered. Mm-hmm. I made things happen. I made money. Mm-hmm. I became a young millionaire at the age of 23. Mm-hmm. So money for me was not an issue. Yeah. The money was there. Everything else in life was falling apart.
So it's not money that makes you successful.
It's not. No. It's can you have it all? I'm here to tell you, you can have it all. Mm-hmm. You need to have your priorities in order. Mm-hmm. And for me, that was another defining moment. It's okay. I have $1 million. I have the house on the hill. I have 2.5 acres. I have nice cars. I mean, I was at a point in my life where a car would break down. Mm-hmm. I'd go buy another one and park the car. Mm-hmm. And for me, that was my material. But I never understood that success is not a destination. Mm-hmm. I thought I was going to wake up one day and say, okay, I'm successful. Mm-hmm. But I was never filled. So I kept wanting more, getting more. Mm-hmm. And I would always see this frame in these offices: success is a journey, not a destination. And I'd read it, but I didn't understand it. I didn't absorb it. Mm-hmm. Then one day, at the peak of my life, that I felt, okay, I arrived. I have my house. Okay, I'm retired. Mm-hmm. I'm done. Things started falling apart beyond my control. Wow. And I'm like, wait a minute, this isn't the way it was written in my book.
Mm-hmm. So tell me, what were the things that were falling apart?
Well, I had 4 cars parked, right? Mm-hmm. I kept buying more cars, so I had probably about 7, 8 cars, a motorcycle. I had a beautiful house. Things that started falling apart was my household, not so much my family, but my material, my house, where my business started taking a step back, the real estate market. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, the real estate market, in my eyes, has always been good, but we buy into the concept of what we hear from others. Mm-hmm. There was a real estate crash, yes. Yeah. Or also colleagues that I knew that kept going, and didn't listen to the noise around them. Yeah. So for me, I listened to the noise around me, and I got caught up on that. And I always felt like something was missing. So I didn't understand it until I asked a question to a successful multimillionaire. I said, "Listen, why am I not filled? I have all this." And he says, "When you focus on material things, really what you're getting from them is the feeling. So when you want that new car, you really want the feeling, how you're going to feel when you turn it on. But that feeling goes away after 2-3 months. Now it's like, man, I want something else." Yeah. So that 1-minute conversation with a really taught me. I said, wait a minute, I'm not going to be fulfilled. There has to be something else. And for me, that time in my life, everything fell apart. And when I mean everything material. All of a sudden, my money was depleted. My property rentals, they didn't have jobs because they were in construction. So I was too ashamed and embarrassed to allow the outside world to see that South Torres was falling apart. Yeah. So what I did, I used all my savings to keep up and pay for my rental properties because I didn't want to lose anything. I was embarrassed.
Yeah.
And then finally, when I faced the mirror and say, you know what, Sal, it's not about them. Like, you need to dig deep and face reality. Well, by then I was down to about 2,000 in the bank, and facing foreclosure on multiple properties.
Wow. And so, at your lowest moment in your life, what did you do?
I wish I could tell you I sat there and, that was a defining moment from one day to the next. But it was really 12 months of, took me a year. 'Cause I transitioned from real estate to financial services, trying to do a few things. And so I didn't take responsibility. And for a whole year, I was blaming others for my failings. And I kept blaming. So I locked myself into my own world. And to the point where it caused trouble in my marriage, per se, where my wife was frustrated. Like, listen, stop. Like, wake up. Why are you behind that computer? But for me, that was my escape. I'm looking for a job. I need to dig myself up. But I didn't want to be true, because you go from having what you believe is enough money and everything in order to losing it all. And now you're like, how am I going to dig myself? I'm too good for an $8 an hour job.
Yeah.
I'm too good for a 9.
Yeah.
Well, so I kind of went into this dark moment in my life, and we become who we spend the most time with,
Yes.
It's a reflection, and at that point in my life, I was dark moment in my life, so I kept talking to myself. It was all negative talk. You're not good enough. Why did you allow others to control your destiny, and you should have never listened to them? So during those dark moments, I felt a tug. And one thing about when you hit dark moments, we're all going to hit them in life. And they're either defining moments, however you want to categorize them, dark moments. But if you're just listening to your own voice, then that's pretty dangerous. And that point in my life was very dangerous. So one, I had to make a decision that no one's going to come and rescue me.
Yeah.
There was no superhero going to show up and say, here, get back on your feet. No one was going to come and say, okay, Sal, here's a second chance. Unless I was ready to step out of my dark zone. So fortunately, I thank my wife, because she never stopped believing in me. But she was the fire, say, listen, you got to wake up, snap out of it. And so for me, that was a defining moment. And also, that's when I really just gave myself and said, you know what? I really dug in, not so much the word per se, but into my prayer focus. And I said, and I asked God, like, I don't know what I did wrong, or why I made these choices, but I need you in my life. I need you to dig me out of this dark place. And that's when I took myself out of the equation. So mentally, I shift from a Sal Torres show to, hey, you're human, and you need to face reality, and it's more than, you need to reach up higher. And so thankfully, I can't say God, I feel he's in control all the time, but I can't say he made it easy for me. And for many of our viewers, when you hit those dark moments, they're not meant to be easy. And also at the same time, when we start pointing the finger and we don't take responsibility, we're really stealing away from our character, from us becoming who we're going to become. But it's in our nature to blame others, right? Like Adam
Of course.
blamed Eve, and so it's in human nature. But yeah, for that moment, I felt, God speaking with me and said, listen, rise up, warrior, like, it's your time. You need to pay the price. Whatever that price is, you need to pay it again.
Wow.
And so guess what? I took an $8.50 job again.
Humbled yourself.
Yeah, humbled myself to the fullest.
Wow.
And it taught me a big lesson, Torrin, because I have individuals that come up to me and say, it's so hard. How can I go make a quick buck?
Yeah.
Or how can I get out of this? And I'm not made out for a job. I have all these goals and dreams. But comes a point where you do have to pay the price. What that price is between you, God, and what you're willing to do.
Yeah.
But there's a price that has to be paid.
Yeah. There's a restoration there's a restoration price that you said, it has to be paid. And, as you're talking about the dark moments in your life, the Bible is full of men and women of God who went through their dark moments. The one that comes up immediately is Jonah. I mean, God told him to do something, and he went the other way. He went to, the total opposite way. God said, go to Nineveh. He said, no, I'm going to go to Tarshish, and so on that route, consequently, he got involved with guys that were going a different route, and they ended up getting into this big storm, and they ended up saying, you know what, we got to throw some things overboard. Everyone call out to their God, and then all of a sudden Jonah's like, I know why this is happening. You know, I'm in this dark moment, I'm in this storm because I'm going against what God has for my life. And in that moment, he makes the decision and says, hey, throw me overboard and everything will cease. Pretty much almost not even really understanding what was going to happen. I think that he was probably just almost saying, just in my life, and all of the storms will go away. This storm will go away. The storm of God putting expectations on my life will go away. I don't have to do anything. But even in the middle of that, God's mercy was there. The mercy showed up in the form of a big fish that swallowed him, you know, that didn't digest him, you know, but he was in this well, and he began to pray and begin to realize that God is with him, you know, that God is always with him, no matter if he's in the belly of a fish, no matter if he's in the middle of a storm, no matter if he's on dry land, God is always with him and always there, and it's so accessible, you know. And so, of course, the end of the story, of course, the fish spits him up on dry land, and then God says, go and do what I told you to do. And so all of us will experience dark moments, but it's what we do with those dark moments that really define our next step. And we've been talking about that. It seems like that's just a common theme, the defining moment, the dark moment, you know. And there's probably some people out there that's going through some very, very dark times right now when it comes down to your dream and your vision and your goal, or your business, or your ministry, or maybe your family, or maybe your health and your body. Well, you just got to make sure that you depend and you trust and you reach up to God, because he's the only one that can help you out. Just like you said, there was no superhero. The only one that could help you out in the time of trouble was God. Yes. And so that's awesome. And so he's pulling you out of this dark season. And so you reached out to him. You start praying a little bit more. You start diving into the word a little bit more. So how did God's presence and his purpose begin to just start to show forth through what you were doing?
And in that time in my life, Torian, these are scriptures that kind of popped out to me. One was Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through him who strengthens me. Yeah. And the other, Proverbs 16:3, was commit your work to the Lord, right? And your plans will be established. So you shared that with us. But at that point in my life, that's where I was. I said, you know, I'm going to commit. I'm not going to be lazy, right? There's another one here, Proverbs 21:5. The plan of the diligent leads surely to abundance, but everyone who is hasty comes only to poverty. Yeah. Right? So for me, hasty, if I'm defining it correctly, it's like you lazy, or you too quick. And in entrepreneurship, opportunities come every day, and you're like too quick to jump on everything. Yeah. And when you're not committed to and have clarity and really taking, okay, God, where do you want me? Where do you want to lead me? Where can I best represent you and glorify you? Yeah. And it's maybe it's difficult to have that defining moment when you get clarity. Yeah. But we all can get it if we seek it. That's right. And that's one thing where I said, okay, all these opportunities are going to exist around me, but I'm going to get committed to doing what I feel God wants me to do. Was it that $8 and something an hour? At that point, I believed it was. But it was the hardest time in my life, going to having to work weekends and just starting over. And then, however, after that, I had an opportunity to work at this other company, which was probably one of the biggest corporate America companies. And if you find a good job, that was one of the best jobs. You know, they paid us well, benefits, everything. And that's where I started to realize that God was working through me, because the things I had lived through, losing a car, losing a house, having successful money, successful businesses, were everything we were discussing in the lunchroom, the conversations everyone was having. Like back in these days, I used to have this. If it wasn't for this, 9 out of 10 people were pointing the finger at someone else. So it allowed me to really speak to them and say, listen, we got to take responsibility. Yeah. It starts with us. Yeah. We made that decision, but we weren't prepared. And so I still didn't have clarity where God was going to lead me. At that point, I was burnt out. I was like, okay, I'm glad I have a job, I have benefits, now I have a steady flow of income. Let me begin rebuilding. But at that point now, the material things was of little importance to me. Yeah. It was about building my character up and then being there for the families that were going through exactly what I went through. So I started pretty much counseling Not as a profession, but people reaching out, okay, I'm losing my house, it's the end of the world. How did you deal with it? Or I just stepped in, listen, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
And so I provided guidance, and at that point I knew God had me in the right place.
And now we see, Crea being the amazing business model that it is today. You guys are just the premier brokerage company in all of Southern California right now, making great strides, on the charts, making great strides when it comes down to just your credibility in the industry. You have offices here in Southern California. You're stretching out, Northern California, and then also even over across to the East Coast, and so for you just getting what I hear, you got broke down to your bare minimum, where you found out that I am just a human. I'm nothing without God. And so God, make me, remold me, make me into the person that you call me to be. And God is fashioning this amazing just success out of you because you're committing your life to God. You committed your work to God. You committed your dreams, your visions, your ideas, and this drive, this entrepreneurial drive to Him. And He's allowing His dream to be a reality through you. And so, Crea, believe, Crea, creation, it's all a part of His whole plan. And so, it's exciting. So, of course, we're going to walk through some of your properties that you're showing and everything. And so, those of you who may be in the Southern California area, you can contact Sal, and he can tell you all of the details about where the properties are and how you can get in contact and how you can make your next purchase and how you can save your dream to become a home owner if that's your dream. And so we're going to take a walk real quick, and of course we'll continue the conversation, but this has been very, very exciting thus far. And so let's go on some walks. Let's go. So Sal, whenever people have a dream or a vision or an idea, they think that it's going to be just a cakewalk from that dream to the reality. So what are some of the things that you had to do as far as the process goes? Because between the dream and the reality is the process. So what are some of the things in your process that you had to shift through in order to get to where you are today?
Torian, just like anything in life, the process begins with a strong foundation, both spiritually in business and even in this home here, like what we sell, real estate.
Yeah.
So the foundation is probably the ugliest part that none of us or nobody wants to deal with, right?
Yeah,
so spiritually, your foundation has to be in place.
Yeah.
Business-wise, you have to have a solid foundation. What do you stand for? My company, we stand for bringing back the American dream.
Got it.
Many families face hardship, stop believing, got taken advantage of. So we're here to correct an injustice, and real estate happens to be, the vehicle that we've chosen. And like this home with foundation, isn't it beautiful? Right? It's a beautiful home.
It's a very beautiful home.
Not one family will walk through here and say, okay, I want to see what's under this piece of tile.
Yeah.
They just believe that the foundation is in place. And a lot of times in business, we jump into business without understanding, okay, where's that foundation coming from? Or the founder of this company, what do they stand on?
Yeah.
And so through the process is have a solid foundation.
Okay.
Have clarity of business plan. If you're jumping into an entrepreneur opportunity that exists, make sure that foundation's in place, understand what your role is, and then make sure the opportunity is truly ethical and there to protect and serve the consumer and the client.
Wow. That's awesome. And so after the foundation, it's almost like as we're walking through even this home right here, there is there's steps that you have to take. So, as we walk up the steps, there's steps that you have to take in order to bring that dream to reality. So we've set the foundation. The next step would be, what would you say?
I think it's a foundation, having the business plan, which is your purpose. Okay, why am I doing this?
Your why.
Your product, obviously, which is either tangible, intangible, whatever industry you're in, and then really mastering your craft.
Yeah.
And when I mean mastering, it takes time to understand, to study, how to communicate with families. But I'm a believer of scripts and dialogues. That's just to bring the conversation and minimize the time frame. But in honesty, we just want to be heard as humans, as individuals, as consumers and clients. We want to be respected of our time. We want to be understood. We want to get, be taken care of versus taken advantage of.
Yes.
And so in any business, as a salesperson, definitely not going after the quick dollar, and the money should not define who you are or why you're in business. It's the purpose behind it.
That's good. That's good. So foundation, establishing your why, and then having the right perspective when it comes down to business. I was listening to a book that I just got by Rabbi Daniel Lapin, and I think that is an amazing, amazing book. He said in business, money should not be the goal, it should be the result. And most people get in business, or most people start their dream because they say, oh, I'm gonna make a lot of money, I'm gonna get rich and all those different, but in reality, there's a process to becoming successful in business. And it's not just a one overnight type thing, not unless you already have 7-figure bankrolls behind you, so many things that's already in place in front of you. So you just gotta have that right perspective when it comes down to unfolding the dream, that it will take work, and it will take sacrifice, and it will take a process to get there. And so we're excited, man. So we're just looking through this amazing home that you can get more information from Sal on how to actually, you can be a part of purchasing this home if you have that desire. And so Sal, talk to me even more about, your family. Now your family is together. You are really being the family man now. So you have your beautiful wife and 3 beautiful kids. And so how do they interact with this dream that has come out of you, that is manifested into Crea, and then you have employees, you have clients? How do they fit into the whole scheme of everything?
Well, aligning myself, and one thing is understanding that you truly could have it all, Torian. The days of someone labeling you as a jack of all trades, or you can't do that because you have to do this. For me, those days are gone, and that's what I teach my agents and my clients. Listen, you could have it all: successful business, successful marriage, successful life. And so I teach that, and I live that. And so my family, I have a beautiful wife. We've been together since 1997, so through thick and thin. But one thing is, she's always believed in, and I never given her a reason to doubt me. And then we have my oldest daughter, Odyssey. So she's a teenager, and just walking the walk. I don't want to be the parent. I don't do much talking, to be honest with you, but I just lead by example. I let them know, look, you can't cut corners in life. You got to take the proper steps. So she's learning that way. I have my middle child, Heidi, and she's awesome, very creative. And business has taught me, in leading a business team, like my employees, my agents, it's taught me how to understand how each individual operates. And Crea, if you take the word for creativity, is something I encourage in my office. So we're not, if you don't fit in this box, you're out. I encourage creativity because I learn as much from my business partners, agents, as they do from me. And for the same thing with my kids, I raise them that way. Listen, it's okay to make mistakes. I want to know what did you learn from it. Dad will not be disappointed in you.
That's it.
I operate out of love, just like God operates out of love, and that's what I do. I discipline them, right? We get disciplined, but really it's all out of love. And then I have my blessing of my son, 3-year-old Noah, and so he really defined and redefined and clarified my purpose, and pretty much he brought so much joy to me, but a different kind of joy, because my daughters is when you become a father to a young or a woman or a young girl, and father, you operate out of love, and I use that same love towards my son Noah, but now I understand, okay, I have 3 beautiful children. They bring so much excitement to my life. There's purpose. I cannot drop the ball. And so business for me is not number 1. It comes third in my book. It's God, my family, and then business. But I do operate in having it all, so I walk it. So I can't tell you I shut it off 9 to 5, but I make sure I'm balanced. I have to coach my son's basketball team. I'm there for my daughters, and so it's just awesome. I'm at a great point in my life, so I thank God for that.
That's good, man. Well, I'm excited that we had this amazing time with you. It was so refreshing to hear your story and see where you come from, and to see where you are, and to see where you're going, because I know that this is not the end for you. Absolutely not. And so we're just now beginning. And so those of you who have dreams, goals, visions, ideas, guess what? This is just the beginning for you as well. I don't care what 2014 looked like for you. I don't care what even just this past 3 weeks looks like for you. Let me tell you something. God has something specifically designed for you. And if you would just lean into it, if you would submit your life and submit your work unto Him, He's going to cause your thoughts to be established. He's going to lead you down the pathway for His righteousness, for His name's sake, because He knows that there's something invested in you that He wants to show forth to the entire world that's going to bring Him glory. So don't don't give up. Keep on going. We know that this is a year of explosive, high expectation. Can't hardly believe it. Success for the body of Christ. And so this is Torian Scott and Sal Torres.
Yeah.
We are signing off saying thank you so much for tuning in to Kingdom Business. This is an amazing, amazing episode. And so hopefully you'll share it and hopefully you'll join us next week right here on OCN. Until next time, everyone, God bless.